prostate cancer surgery changed your erections, your orgasm, your confidence, or your sex life, I need you to hear this. Your sex life did not end because your prostate was removed, but the old script may have ended. And if you and your partner keep waiting for sex to go back exactly the way it was before surgery, you may be stuck in grief, silence, shame, and avoidance for years. This video is for the man who survived prostate cancer but feels like he lost part of himself. This video is for the partner who loves him but does not know how to touch him anymore. And this video is for the couple that has slowly become roommates because nobody knows how to talk about the sexual losses after surgery. Watch until the end because I'm going to give you a practical way to start rebuilding intimacy without making erections the entire measure of success. Hi, I am Dr. Tangie, the sex doctor, board certified clinical sexologist, and on this channel I speak truth without sugarcoating it. If you want direct, honest, and useful answers to your sex and relationship challenges, I invite you to subscribe. Your subscription tells me that you appreciate my work, and it helps this channel grow and reach more people who desperately need to hear this content without any financial investment or time from your part. So please do it right now. Find the subscribe button, click on it, like this video, and share it with someone who needs it. Thanks. Now let's go back to talk about sexlessness after prostate cancer surgery. First, this is not just ED. A lot of people reduce this whole conversation to one word, erectile dysfunction or ED. But after prostate cancer surgery, the sexual change can be much bigger than erections. It can include erections that are weaker or absent, fear that erections will never return, urinary leakage, loss of ejaculation, orgasm that feels different, penile shortening or retraction, reduced confidence, avoidance of touch, fear of disappointing your partner, and a deep private grief that many men never say out loud. The American Cancer Society identifies urinary incontinence and erectile dysfunction as major possible side effects of radical prostatectomy, and the nerves involved in erections run very close to the prostate. So no, this is not all in your head, but it is also not only in your penis. This is body, mind, relationship, identity, grief, and recovery. And this is the grief nobody prepares couples for. Many men hear the cancer conversation like this. Good news, we got the cancer. And yes, that matters. Survival matters. Being alive matters. But then the man goes home and realizes, my body does not respond the same. My penis looks different. I leak urine. I cannot perform like before. My orgasm is different. My partner looks at me with concern instead of desire. And suddenly, survival comes with a private mourning process. So men don't say, I'm grieving. They say, I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. Don't touch me. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm too old for this. But underneath all that may be grief. Grief over sexual confidence. Grief over masculinity. Grief over spontaneity. Grief over feeling like the erotic part of life was taken without permission. And partners grieve too. They may miss being pursued. They may miss penetration. They may miss the sexual ease they once had. They may feel guilty for wanting sex because he had cancer. They may think, how selfish am I to miss sex when he survived? But missing intimacy after cancer does not make you selfish. It makes you human. And this is a dangerous mistake, waiting for the old sex life to magically return. Here is where many couples get trapped. They wait. They say, let's wait until the erections come back. Let's wait until he feels more confident. Let's wait until the doctor says everything is normal. Let's wait until it feels natural again. And sometimes waiting is part of healing, but waiting without a plan becomes avoidance. Months pass, then a year, then 2 years. Then the couple has not touched erotically in so long that nobody knows how to start. And now the problem is not only post-surgery erectile dysfunction. Now the problem is fear, awkwardness, shame, performance pressure, roommate energy, and emotional distance. This is why I keep saying in this series, when sex stops, the ethical response is not silence. It is honesty, participation, and a plan. Erections may recover, but recovery is not always fast or complete. Let's be medically honest. After nerve-sparing prostatectomy, some men regain erectile function over time, but it can take a long time. The American Cancer Society notes that even with nerve-sparing surgery, nerves need time to heal, and this can take up to 2 years. Johns Hopkins reports wide variation in recovery, with about 40 to 50% of men returning to pre-treatment function within 1 year after nerve-sparing prostatectomy, and about 30 to 60 by 2 years. These rates are based on the surgeon, nerve-sparing status, age, pre-surgery function, and health factors. That means 2 things can be true at once. There is hope, and you need realistic expectations. If you make every intimate moment a test of whether the erection is back, you will create pressure. And pressure is not erotic medicine. Pressure says perform, prove you're still a man. Don't fail, don't disappoint. That kind of pressure can shut the body down even more. So the goal is not just erection recovery. The goal is sexual rehabilitation, relational safety, and erotic confidence. Your orgasm may be different, but pleasure is still possible. This part is important. After prostate surgery, many men can still have orgasm, but ejaculation changes because the prostate and seminal vesicles have been removed. The American Cancer Society explains that men can have orgasm without ejaculating, and dry orgasm is not harmful. Many men still experience pleasure, although orgasm may feel different. The Prostate Cancer Foundation states that anejaculation occurs in all men after radical prostatectomy because the prostate and seminal vesicles are removed, and this can affect masculinity, body image, satisfaction, and the couple's sexual experience. So couples need to stop treating semen as proof that sex worked. Sex can still be erotic, orgasms can still happen, pleasure can still be cultivated, connection can still be real. But the couple has to stop measuring sex only by the old sequence. Erection, penetration, ejaculation, done. That script may not fit anymore. And if that is the only script you know, you will think sex is over when it may simply need to be rewritten. And the partner needs guidance too. Partners often don't know what to do. They may be scared to initiate because they don't want to pressure him. They may avoid touch because they don't want to trigger shame. They may stop flirting because they don't know whether he still wants to be seen erotically. And the man may misread that as, my partner doesn't want me anymore, while the partner may be thinking, I don't want to hurt him. That silence can create a cruel misunderstanding. So say the thing. Try this. I still see you as my lover. I don't need your body to work exactly the way it did before for me to want closeness with you. But I don't know how to approach this, and I don't want to hurt you. Can we learn this together? That sentence can soften years of distance. So stop making penetration the only doorway to intimacy. After prostate cancer surgery, penetration can be possible eventually, or it may require medication, injections, a vacuum device, a penile ring, penile implant, or other support. And for some men, penetration may not be the most reliable or immediate path. That does not mean, though, sex is over. It means the couple needs a broader erotic menu. Sex can include kissing, naked cuddling, sensual massage, mutual touch, manual stimulation, oral pleasure, vibrators or other external aids, toys, erotic conversation, fantasy sharing, body-to-body contact, shower intimacy, pleasure without penetration, orgasm without erection, connection without performance. This is not less than sex. This is adapted to the body you actually have now. And adaptation is not failure. Adaptation is survival with creativity. And medical rehabilitation matters. Now, let's talk about treatment. This is not something couples should simply figure out alone. Guidelines adaptation recommends that sexual health should be discussed by the healthcare team after cancer treatment. And for men with erectile dysfunction, PDE5 inhibitors may be used. If those do not work, options can include vacuum erection devices, which I always recommend for everybody, urethral medication systems, or intracavernous injection. It also recommends counseling for men and partners who want to improve intimacy and sexual satisfaction. Vacuum erection devices can help some men with erectile dysfunction or penile shortening after cancer treatment. And if a tension band is used, it should not be left on longer than 30 minutes. So the repair plan may include a urologist who actually cares about sexual function, PDE5 medications when appropriate, a vacuum erection device, penile injections if needed, pelvic floor physical therapy, treatment for urinary leakage, sex therapy for the individual or couples, arousal retraining, and for some men, penile implant consultation. This is not about desperation. This is about rehabilitation. Just like you would rehab a knee after knee surgery, you may need to rehab sexual function after prostate surgery. But do not turn rehab into another performance test. This is the trap. Some men start the pump, the pills, the injections, the exercises, and every single attempt becomes, did it work? Am I hard enough? Can I penetrate? Can I last? Is my partner disappointed? Now sex becomes a medical exam, and that kills eroticism. So I want couples to create two separate categories. Category 1, rehabilitation practice. Category 2, erotic connection. Rehabilitation practice may include devices, toys, medication trials, pelvic floor work, tracking erection quality, and medical follow-up. Erotic connection is different. Erotic connection is no pass, fail, no pressure, no demand, no humiliation, no, we have to finish, no, this better work. In my own somatosensory and arousal retraining framework, the goal is not to prove an erection. The goal is to feel, to stay present, to reduce pressure, and retrain the body away from performance panic. That is extremely relevant after prostate cancer surgery because a man needs to know I can be touched without being tested. I can pleasure without needing to perform. I can be erotic even if my erection is not perfect. And this is a simple intimacy rebuild plan. Here's a practical 4-week reset. Week 1, reintroduce safe touch, 10 minutes a day. No intercourse goal, no erection goal, no, let's see what happens. Just touch, hold each other, massage, kiss, put a hand on the chest, touch the thighs, hips, back, face. Let the body remember that touch is not a test. Week 2, have honest conversation. Once a week, ask, what feels scary about sex now? What do you miss? What still feels good? What do you not want pressured? What are we willing to try? Week 3, create a new erotic menu. Write down 3 things that do not require penetration. 3 things that might support arousal. 3 things that help him feel masculine or desired. 3 things that help the partner feel included, wanted, and not abandoned. Week 4, combine medical support with erotic play. This might mean trying medication under medical guidance, using a vacuum device, trying external stimulating, scheduling a urology follow-up, trying pelvic floor therapy, or having a sex therapy session. But remember, the goal is not to recreate the old sex overnight. The goal is movement. The goal is less fear. The goal is connection. The goal is to stop letting cancer surgery write the final chapter of your erotic life. What do you say if you're the man trying this? So try this. I'm scared. I survived cancer, but I don't feel like myself sexually. I'm afraid of failing, disappointing you, or being seen differently. I don't want to avoid you. I want us to rebuild, but I need us to take pressure off penetration and learn what intimacy can look like now. That is brave. That is honest. That is masculine. Masculinity is not pretending nothing hurts. Masculinity is telling the truth and participating in repair. And what do you say if you're the partner? Well, try this. I miss us. I miss being close to you. I don't want to pressure you or make you feel like your body has to perform. But I also don't want us to disappear sexually. I want us to find a way to touch, play, and connect again in a way that works for your body now. That is not pressure. That is invitation. And this is the hard truth. Cancer treatment may change the body, but silence changes the relationship. If nobody talks about the grief, the fear, the leakage, the erection changes, the dry orgasm, the change, the shame, the partner's loneliness, and the need for a new sexual script, the couple may slowly become roommates. And that is not inevitable. Sex after prostate cancer surgery may be different. It may require tools. It may require patience. It may require medical support. It may require therapy. It may require redefining what sex means. But different does not mean dead. Different means you need a new map. So let me ask you, if you or your partner had prostate cancer surgery, what was the hardest part sexually? Erections, leakage, orgasm changes, confidence, or not knowing how to talk about it? Did your medical team prepare you for the sexual recovery, or were you left to figure it all out alone? And what do you wish your partner understood about sex after prostate cancer? I read all the comments, and this is a conversation a lot of couples need but never get to have. As usual, I wish you safe, healthy, and pleasurable sex of whatever kind you practice. See you next time.